Om Prakash Yogini, Mataji of Sri Ramji Ashram, Kumara Koil near Kanyakumari. Originally she was in the Rashtriya Sevak Sangh, a structure which spreads even now. The Hindu culture, the spiritual culture of India. She was very active in that she used to go from place to place for the puja of the lamps. They would light the lamps and then offer the puja to the flame after invoking the goddesses appropriately with suitable mantras and namavalis. There was one, Sri Ponnaya Ayyappan, who was guiding her in her spiritual life. He was very devoted to Lord Ayyappa of Sabarimala and also to Lord Muruga. He kept the idols of those many deities, was doing Abhishekam and Puja regularly. But once Sri Murheji took him to see Bhagawan Yogi Ramsuratkumar in Thiruvannamalai. They happened to attend the Jayanthi of Bhagawan on December 1st, 1983. After attending the Jayanthi celebrations there in Thiruvannamalai, when Sri Ponnaya Ayyappan returned, he was a totally changed person. Bhagawan Yogi Ramsuratkumar overwhelmed him completely. He became an ardent devotee. He began to sing and dance and talk about only Yogi Ramsuratkumar to everyone. He gave his heart and soul to Bhagawan. He was also telling his disciple, Om Prakash Yogini, about Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagawan. Once in 1984, and before that, they all wanted to go to Thiruvannamalai for Jayanthi celebrations of Bhagawan, but Bhagawan told them specifically not to come to Thiruvannamalai but celebrate his Jayanthis in their places, in Nagarkoil itself. And what was more, Bhagawan said, you celebrate this beggar's Jayanthi in Nagarkoil, this beggar would come there and eat food that you offer, and then you can have the leftover prasad. So these people arranged elaborately in Nagarkoil and expecting Bhagawan right from morning, early morning, with great hope and devotion, they set about arranging things. And because until Bhagawan came and had food, they could not partake food. And therefore, the whole morning, it was only biscuits, fruits and milk for everyone. They waited 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. There was no sign of any Bhagawan coming there. So much so that Om Prakash Yogini Mataji began to make fun of Sri Ponnaya Ayyappan. What happened? Why isn't Bhagawan coming at all? And they had arranged for Pada Puja also. And Sri Ponnaya, as Guru of Om Prakash Yogini, had allotted this Pada Puja fortune to Om Prakash Yogini Mataji. So she had made all arrangements for that and was waiting. But 11 o'clock, 11:30, there was no sign of Bhagawan. And then in Kumarakovil, at the steps outside the entrance, there used to be a beggar and a drunkard, Govindasamy. Every day, he would come for food also. Only he turned up. At 11:30, this Govindaswamy turned up. He had tied up a green turban on his head. Of course, he had a beard also, a white beard. He appeared, and then they were all expecting Bhagawan, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, at their doorstep, where the celebrations were going on. But only Govindasamy turned up. He was a drunkard. So they were all looking at him, and some of them smiled in fun. What is this? This man is turning up. But to their wonder, Govindaswamy was different today. Even as he entered, he raised both his hands up there by way of blessing people. He smiled, and what was more, while standing, he put his right leg. He lifted his right leg and put it on the left knee and stood like that with both hands raised in benediction. He looked very different. Though he was the same Govindaswamy who was there at the entrance steps of Kumarakovil, today he was very much the same in appearance, but his manners had changed. And then, what was more, he laughed. He laughed very much like Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagawan of Tiruvannamalai. And then he also said, you want to know who this mendicant, who this beggar is. You ask that beggar of Tiruvannamalai who this beggar is. Seeing the way he was uttering words, his gestures, his manners, and his declaration to ask the beggar of Tiruvannamalai who this beggar is, Sri Ponnaya Ayyappan, an advanced soul and very, very devoted to Bhagawan Yogi Ramsuratkumar, immediately felt that it was Yogi Ramsuratkumar himself come in this form. So he ordered Om Prakash Yogini to start Pada Puja to him. Om Prakash Yogini had to obey her guru. So she accepted his word. She did Pada Puja. And then Sri Ponnaya asked Om Prakash Yogini to drink the water with which they washed his feet. He drank it himself, and he made Om Prakash Yogini also drink it. And then the food was kept before him. He relished the food. Usually, after he ate food the other days, this Govindaswamy would eat everything. He would empty the whole leaf and then take it and throw it away. But today, this particular day, when he sat there and ate, he left much of the food on the leaf as prasad, and he would not take the leaf also. He just went out to wash his hand there. And of course, Sri Ponnaya rushed to help him with great devotion. And what was more, Sri Ponnaya took what was left over as prasad, and he made Om Prakash Yogini and other devotees around eat the prasad. So you see, that particular day, Bhagavan had promised to come and eat. And what was more, he instructed Shri Ponnaya to eat the leftover of the prasad. And Shri Ponnaya did exactly that. And Govindaswamy left. The next day, of course, everything was back to normal. And Om Prakashini, Yogini, this Govindaswamy came back to them. He came to them. And then he said, I'm so sorry, yesterday I could not come. I had to go to another place. Something like Kallakka Vilai. I had to go to that place because they had kept a puja there. So I was unable to come and eat the food here. Naturally, these people were astounded and they knew instantly they were right. Shri Ponnaya was right in recognizing Bhagavan in the form of that Govindaswamy. They all knew now that it was Bhagavan himself who came in the form of Govindaswamy. So they rejoiced over it. Just see, Bhagavan can come in any form. So when we do these celebrations, if we have this feeling that Bhagavan would come and eat food, then we should be very alert to recognize him when he comes in any form. It's very important. Only an advanced soul, a soul in whom Bhagavan had descended to a large extent, they could feel the vibrant presence of Bhagavan in any form. Like Shri Ponnaya, Ayyappan did. A word about Shri Ponnaya Ayyappan. This happened in 1984. In 1985, June, he made Om Prakash Yogini sing many songs on Bhagavan. He recorded them in a cassette and he wanted to take approval from Bhagavan and bring out several cassettes. But unfortunately, he had even bought the ticket for the 25th June to go to Tiruvannamalai. But on the 25th June, Om Prakash Yogini found him bedridden. And that day, after giving instructions to Om Prakash Yogini, he left his body. He was to go and have darshan of Bhagavan, worship him in Tiruvannamalai, but that day he became one with Bhagavan. There's another incident where how Bhagavan came in another form to some other devotees. A couple from Chennai, one R.K. Murthy and his wife Subbulakshmi, they were coming to Bhagavan from the middle 70s. And they had built a temple inside their compound in Chennai, in their house, for Ananda Vinayaka, a Ganapati temple, a small temple. And they had installed Ganapati's idol, and they did Kumbhabhishekam also to that. So every year, on the birthday of Bhagavan Yogi Ramsuratkumar, they would do Abhishekam to Vinayaka, and they would have this bhava, this idea that it was Vinayaka is none other than Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagawan. So they would do puja. They would do everything that day to Lord Vinayaka, assuming that the form was none other than Yogi Ramsuratkumar. So they were doing it year after year, the celebration of his Jayanthi, and after that they would wait for some devotee of Bhagavan to come and partake the food, and then they would eat it as his prasad. So once they decided, they would come to Tiruvannamalai and celebrate, or they would, because by the time there were many people in Chennai who started to celebrate the birthday of Bhagawan. And so, a little before, 20 days before the Jayanthi, they came to Tiruvannamalai and told Bhagawan, Bhagawan, we are doing it in a very small scale in our house, but there are celebrations in a grand manner in some other places in Chennai. So we are thinking of joining them this time. Bhagavan said, no, you have to celebrate in your place as you have always been doing every year. You were right, absolutely. You do the Abhishekam, you do the puja, you do everything to Vinayaka. Consider Vinayaka as myself, this beggar of Tiruvannamalai. Think that Vinayaka is none other than Yogi Ramsuratkumar. And Ananda Vinayaka and this beggar would accept your puja. He also said he would come and take prasad. Again he gave his word to these people. So these people are very happy. And then that particular day, December 1st, as usual, they did Abhishekam, they did puja, they prepared the food in a very rich way, and they were waiting for Bhagawan to come. And they were waiting and waiting and waiting, and nobody turned up. And finally, Sri Murtiji decided to go to the office. He was a little pained that nobody turned up to take this, and they had to take prasad. So he was saying, okay, it is getting late for my office, I have to go. And then feeling very bad about nobody turning up there, he came out. There was an old man standing there. The old man had a green turban, white beard, and a kurta. What was more, he had a hand fan, a country hand fan, and also a coconut shell in his hand, and then a bundle of clothes. So naturally, Sri Murtiji was very pleasantly surprised, delightfully surprised. And then immediately he begged him, Swami, please come and take food. Then that old man spoke in English. He said, somebody has invited this beggar here in this street. I have to go there and eat my food there. I cannot come to your place. Then Sri Murti begged him, please, today is our Gurudev's birthday. Please come and eat. We have done the puja to Ananda Vinayaka here. Ananda Vinayaka is inviting you. Ganapati, Lord Ganapati is inviting you to come and take food here. He was trying in many ways to convince this old man to come and take food. Because he was now almost sure, because of the green turban, the hand fan, the coconut shell, that he was Yogi Ramsuratkumar himself. Finally, he relented. The old man outside relented. He said, okay, I will come. So he went and sat there in the place where they had arranged food. And then the first thing that he asked was, have you got roti, chapati for this beggar? This is my favorite dish. And they were stunned. They were so happy. Immediately they served him with chapati, the sabji, and the curd that he liked so much. So this old man, the guest, the new guest, accepted everything very happily, relished the food, and after finishing it, Sri Murti, but what was more, before he was served, when he came inside, he insisted. He looked at Murtiji and said, you must also take food with me. Very much in the fashion of Yogi Ramsuratkumar of Tiruvannamalai. So Murtiji happily agreed, and both of them had their food. And after that, Murtiji begged this new Swami, please take some rest and then go. We would like you to spend some time here and then go. But he said, no, I have to go to Tiruvannamalai. I have my work there. I have to go to Tiruvannamalai. And then, so they just accompanied him to the outside their door. And then they just turned this side and that side, and they looked again. He was not to be seen anymore. They were very sure the one who came was none other than Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagawan himself. So you see, in both the cases we see that Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagawan could come in any form. He could come in the form of a cow, he could come in the form of a beggar, he could come in the form of a person well known to us also. But you would know somehow it is he and not what he appears to be.